with, because this was an offense that hadn't scored 27 points in a whole game all season, no more, and then they score more than that in the first, less than 2 quarters of the game, and especially when Locker goes out, Whitehurst comes in, back-to-back, especially that 75-yard dart. That one was really where I thought may have been the backbreaker, because it came so quick and just sucked the wind right out of the Browns.
Yeah, that was the more, and there's another guy, by the way, in Tennessee, Jake Locker, 10th overall pick, can't stay on the football field.
Yeah.
But he gets chance after chance after chance after chance because of his pedigree. So there's another guy. But, to me, Tennessee is better than you think, and I talked about it last week, when he's on the field. So that wasn't the bigger issue to me when obviously Whitehurst came on. Now that's a concern. Because there's a guy who's played enough, what he is, and the fact that they did give up touchdowns when he was on the field, that hurts. But on the positive side of it, they did buckle down in the second half and keep the bleeding where it was. But it hasn't been good. We talked about it last week. I do think the NFL's changing as a whole, and I think the old metrics, you can kind of throw those out the window. And it's about getting key stops now and stops as a whole, and they were able to do that. But all that said, there's definitely got to be improvement. I mean, this was supposed to be the strength of the team, and it's been anything but to this point. And you hope they're again. It's a new scheme. It's a new coach, so you got to enter that into the equation. But then again, the offense is dealing with the same thing. So clearly, they've been disappointing to this point of the season. But there is talent on that side of the ball, and you would have to think it's gonna improve at some point.
I mean, think about what we've seen so far. This is the last time, by the way, for Browns fans, that the Browns have scored at least 21 points or more in the first 4 games of a season was 1969. I mean, the last time they've even done it in 4 straight games, period, was 2008. But the last time they started the season with the offensive production that they have here was 1969. I mean, that'll say we're talking about the glory years of Browns football, the tail end of them back then. I mean, that's a lot, especially think about that in an offensive league like what we're in now. That just really just makes, and think that if this Browns defense can slowly, just like they did in the second half, if they can be even half of what maybe they were predicted to be this season, if they can live up to even some of that, what could this Browns team do with the offense and the competent running game and quarterback play that we've seen? Man, I mean, really, in a win now, turnaround in 1 year league, it really does make you wonder what the ceiling is for this team if the defense begins to continue to shore up those problems, especially stopping the run.
And they're going to shore it up to a certain degree later this month. This is the big week for them. Let's face it. I mean, Pittsburgh has been the team that they can't beat. And they had the big comeback on opening day, came up a little bit short. But now it's in Cleveland, so this is obviously the measuring stick game for that organization. But, you never want to look ahead, and they're certainly not going to be looking ahead from Pittsburgh. But still, the reality of the situation is it's Jacksonville, it's Oakland, it's Tampa Bay. So, that's the time where, God forbid, even if you lose this week, that's the time you got to get healthy. And you got to take advantage of that soft spot on your schedule. And the second part of that is you got to build some confidence. Imagine you beat Pittsburgh, and then the confidence is brimming, and you're playing Jacksonville, and you're playing Oakland, and you're playing Tampa Bay. All of a sudden, that's when we talked about. That's why those sort of snapshots of those statistics we were talking about last week and the analytics, doesn't mean a lot because the soft spot of your schedule is coming up, and you're not facing Drew Brees, you're not facing Ben Roethlisberger, you're not facing Joe Flacco. And it got off to a rocky start, but they came back in Tennessee, they got the win, and now there's a chance for this team to go on a little bit of a run.
And that's it. And you know what? It's kind of funny how the schedule falls, that it's Pittsburgh again, because not only, like you said, is that your traditional measuring stick, because Roethlisberger's, what is it, 18-1 now, the number against the Browns as a starter, and Jimmy Haslam only owns the Browns in paper because Ben Roethlisberger owns them in reality. So not only do you have that measuring stick, but it's the same way you started your season, was Pittsburgh on the road. Now that same team 5 games later comes back in your place. Do you play them different? Do you start different? How do you finish with this? It's going to be a really good measuring stick for where the Browns are. Do they stumble and once again lose to the Steelers, or do they show, hey, we're getting, like you said, getting some confidence? And now all of a sudden you go on the road. It's not 17 years since the last time you went on the road and won a game. It's not all these statistics that you always get beat over the head with. It's been 10 decades since they've done this and 2 years since they've done that. None of that. Now you went on the road and you won your last game. Now all those things go away. So now come home and beat Pittsburgh, and then all of a sudden those Pittsburgh statistics start to melt away. And then that's it. It's progress. It's building momentum. That's how you do it, one foot in front of the other.
Yeah, and as I said, and the second part is Pittsburgh hasn't been playing well either. So
no, they barely beat Jacksonville.
Yeah, so they're not the same as they've been in the past. Obviously, they can still hurt you in many, many ways. I've talked about Le'Veon Bell. I think he's the most improved player in football. And obviously, Antonio Brown is one of the most dynamic receivers, and you just mentioned the Roethlisberger notes. So until they do it, you got to see them do it before you can believe it. But even worst case scenario, and they don't get it done against the Steelers, I don't think it's time to panic simply because of what's coming up behind them. And just, it doesn't get any easier over those next 3 weeks in the NFL. Now, in the league, anybody can beat you on any given Sunday. It's a cliche, but it's true. It's not college. Jacksonville's going to be desperate. Oakland's going to be desperate. Tampa's going to be desperate. But still, if you want to be measured, if you want to be in the playoff conversation, those are the games you have to. You might do it ugly. You don't have to win with style points, but those are the games you have to win.
Absolutely. A lot of divisional games coming up next week. Browns got the Steelers. You got Colts and Texans. There's going to be some interesting battles. What are you looking forward to watching next week? Yeah, Patriots and the Bills there as they go at it in the East. A lot of good ones, but a lot of divisional battles this weekend.
Yeah, and it's really, if you look at the high profile games Thursday night, maybe we'll actually get a decent game on Thursday night with Indy and Houston. And Sunday night's Philly and New York.
That's a good one, yeah.
And Monday night, San Francisco at St. Louis. And St. Louis is we've been talking about Austin Davis. They've been much more competitive than people thought they were going to be after Sam Bradford went down. So yeah, it's kind of a divisional weekend in the NFL. You just mentioned New England, Buffalo tied at the top of the AFC East. So a lot of good matchups this weekend.
Yeah, Cowboys and Seahawks, too. Cowboys starting to get a little momentum under themselves, up to 4-1. They're undefeated on the road so far. Seattle, of course, undefeated at home. So that should be even an interesting one. Kind of see where the Cowboys are, how much of that is a facade or how much of their improvement is really going to stick.
Yeah, you're right. I'm interested to see because they're not going to win. Nobody wins in Seattle, but I do want to see. I do want to see how they play. Are they going to just get destroyed, or, if they're competitive, because they're unquestionably the most surprising team in the NFL. I'm like a lot of people. I thought they were going to be one of the 2 or 3 worst teams in football.
Same here.
And a lot of it is the fact that they finally have a play caller on the offensive side of the ball who knows DeMarco Murray exists.
Yeah. Is he doing something, Murray, or what, man? Murray going to town so far.
Yeah,
man.
You're talking about 5 straight games joining O.J. Simpson and Jim Brown.
Yeah.
You know, when you're mentioned in the same breath as those two guys, you're the only 3 to have done it. You're playing. If I were voting for MVP today, it would be DeMarco Murray. That's how dominant he's been.
You brought up Bell. You keep talking about him. What's he got? He's got like 450, 460 for the season.
Yeah.
And Murray's a couple hundred yards ahead of him at 670.
Yeah, he's on pace to break Eric Dickerson's record. Obviously, it's way too early, but
well, yeah.
But he's always been good. You know, Le'Veon Bell, I didn't see that coming. He was what he was as a rookie. You know, decent back, but he's really taken the next step, gotten himself in shape, really taken his job as a professional seriously. And I think you saw that week 1. You'll see it again this week how good he's become. But you know, in Dallas's case, instead of the pass game setting up the run, it's the exact opposite. So it's not only helped the team as a whole, it's helped Tony Romo's coming off the back surgery. And it also plays into the strength of their team, which is the offensive line. They've had the best offensive line in football through 5 games. And they've done it with early picks. Tyron Smith, Travis Frederick, Zach Martin. They've all hit. And it's kind of surprising when you talk about Jerry Jones. You don't think about good draft picks. But he resisted the temptation. I said it back in the offseason, resisted the temptation to take Johnny Manziel, took Zach Martin, who I said was the safest pick in this draft. And he's hit the ground running, and he's played at a Pro Bowl level.
For sure. Speaking of guys you pointed out during the draft, Anthony Barr, man, there's another guy that I like what I see from him, man. That's somebody I was interested in the Browns kicking the tires on there too, but I remember you liking that pick. But man, I'll tell you, a lot going on, a lot to keep an eye on here. Going to be a fun slate of games, some key ones to look at, and of course Browns versus Steelers. That's always a good one. Let's see if the Browns can do their part to make this thing a rivalry again. John McMullen from the Sports Network will be a fun slate of games to watch. Of course, there's Monday night tonight too, and then we'll catch up next week. Let's see if the Browns are able to snap that Roethlisberger streak, or if he continues to dominate the Browns as he has so far.
Well, it's October, so it's Halloween month. Time to exercise some demons. So
that's it.
This is the week to do it.
Your boy Bell, you keep bringing him up. That's the one that scares me, man, because the Browns run in defense, and Le'Veon Bell has been he's been getting stronger. We'll see, though, man. I'm not ready to do that yet. I'm still in 24-hour celebration mode. Browns won yesterday. We'll deal with Pittsburgh in a couple of days. John, enjoy Monday Night Football. Enjoy the Thursday night slate. Maybe we'll get a good one, like you said, and next week, and we'll talk on Monday. All
right. Enjoy your week.
You too. John McMullen from the Sports Network, and you guys can always check him out across. He's on many different, he's syndicated through many different newspapers, and find him on the Sports Network. You can tweet with them at JF McMullen, and you can hear him every Monday right here live on the Sports Fix. We're going to take a break, come back. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan with us. We'll talk a little Brownies with him. We'll talk Buckeyes as they took care of business. I mentioned at the beginning of the show here, I won't lie. I'm one of those guys that after Virginia Tech started eyeing the upsets, trying to be smarter than everybody else to figure out who was going to be the next one to knock off the Buckeyes. Instead, they have really got that offense humming at a high level the last few weeks. They do it again this weekend, heading into a bye now. I don't know that I'd even want to buy if I was Urban Meyer, man, now that I'm just starting to get that offense really, like I said, finely tuned there. But we'll talk about that. John McMullen from the Sports Network was just with us. Dan Wismar from the Cleveland Fan is with us next here on the Sports Fix.
We here at the Sports Fix are very in-depth when we interview the sports stars.
Oh, I saw the whole thing, dude. First you were all like, whoa, and then we were like, whoa, and then you were like, whoa. What are you talking about? You got serious thrill issues, dude. Oh, awesome. Oof.
Maybe not, but you should still listen.
Hey, Cleveland, this is Ed Doherty, voice of San Ignatius Wildcat Football, and you're listening to the Sports Fix. I'm Pro Football Hall of Famer Paul Warfield. There's just one place where students are students first and athletics are played with purpose and perspective. That place is your local high school.